there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about A Nuclear War, a Scenario by Annie Jacobsen, which is a look at what would happen during a nuclear war. It's a book about nuclear war. I know I'm doing looking at a book rather than films, but I can read just to confirm it to you. This book is about what happens when a nuclear war could take place. It's called a scenario, so it sets up a scenario, and it shows you throughout the book, like what leads to war and what could lead to war, and what's the worst case scenario in each area, which could lead to nuclear Armageddon. And that's pretty much it's actually a very simple setup. There's like worst case scenarios or what could happen just as within the security measures for the use to protect any country from nuclear weapons. What could go wrong? So the set up a scenario of North Korea doing a sneak attack during the day in America, sending one missile to one missile going over straight away to attack Washington, which would take 16 minutes. And another missile on a sub that hits California nuclear facility, which would just hit both the facility and also the unspent rods which have been cooled down in water nearby, and it would just create like a disaster. So these two things happen simultaneously. Oh no, actually, well, the launches happen different times, but the actual delivery is fairly simultaneous. And from this situation, she sets up how this could escalate into full-on Armageddon, like what decisions are made at any stage. So this book is actually broken down to from the first moment they see that the North Korea launched a nuclear missile at them, to basically every decision that would be made, and every department, and what's the function of every department. So you get the Secretary of Defense, what's his function is, what's the function of the President, what's the function of the President's security, how much time a President actually has to actually make a decision, who advises them, who's got the actual knowledge to advise them properly about this scenario, what security plans are taking place which have been created for the scenario, how come missiles can't be shot down. It gets into scientific details about why this doesn't work, and how limited the defence of any country actually is against nuclear weapons. And then it's the escalation. It's like the American president has 6 minutes from the moment that they grab him from the White House, take him down to the bunker, and while informing him what's going on, and say for 6 minutes to create a procedure that will allow us to defend the citizens as much as possible. And it's like, these are the various things you can do. And in this situation, the president, they cannot get hold of Russia, because apparently getting hold of Russia is a lot harder than people think it is. You assume it's not, but apparently it actually is. And it's been historically bad. And how this can lead to disaster. And the thing about this book is, the situation is, they don't know what's going on. It's the middle of the day. Basically, the government's been fragmented. The vice president's away somewhere. No one knows where he is, and he's never heard from again in the story. A lot of the cabinet are not in the building at the time, so the different people who could take over the president gets killed is very limited. And then it gets into the horrifying detail of what's the job as Secretary of Defense. What do they have to do? What does the president have to do? And he has to make a decision quick so that they can take him, put him in a helicopter and get him out of the area, because Washington's probably going to be attacked. It's probably the target. And it's like all about the things that happen there, the decisions that are made there, the human errors that will happen inevitably, because even no matter how machine-like you've got it, to waste as little time as possible to respond, people are people and things happen. And that's just the first section of the book. Ultimately, it becomes like, what happens if you actually respond to North Korea? Because if you respond to North Korea, you're going to hit them, you're going to destroy their bases. But their people are actually down in bunkers, so those people are going to get killed as innocent people who are part of the population. Also, the nuclear waste will go way over to China, and they'll start war with China. Also, you have to fire over Russia. You have to tell Russia that these weapons are going to go over them, but they're not actually attacking them. And if Russia doesn't know that, and if Russia can't get communication working between Russia and America, Russia will think they've been attacked. And the Russian defense system and the way the American bombs are to create distractions so Russia can't tell what bomb's going where. It means the Russians think they've had a much bigger attack than it actually is, and they won't know that it's actually going to fly over them. And that's why they need communication, which doesn't happen, because the president's been moved from place to place, and the Russians will not accept the Secretary of Defense as a leader. And it's just the insanity of the whole thing, and the different procedures that take place to create confusion when there needs to be actual clarity. And the whole situation becomes just a disaster upon disaster, and it just goes through all the details about what the damage any one nuclear bomb can do, how many nuclear bombs are actually in the arsenals. Even though they've been cut down from the Cold War days, it still can destroy the planet quite easily. And just like how many of these weapons are on the submarines, how many are on the land, and everyone knows what everyone else has got. So essentially, once the decision is made, you have to fire quickly, so that if you're fired, the things are up in the air before your enemy strikes you. So if you're any area that's a launch area, you're dead. If you're any area where you're actually a government facility or a bunker, you're probably dead because they're going to attack you, that bunker. So even if you are in a highly defended bunker, that's where they're going to send their nukes. So it's a no-win situation. Now that's what the book actually is explaining. It's a no-win situation for everybody. It's like nuclear winter is going to destroy most of the people. People are going to starve. Most reproductive organs will be destroyed, of the survivors, or be mutated. So actually, if you manage to survive nuclear winter, even like reproducing is going to be difficult. Certain countries will do better because they would have less radiation on them because they're not targets. But even then, the food supply is rotten, and it's going to be survival of the fittest and who can survive the best. Like places like Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, they're the best places to be. Hence Mad Max films. But even then, it's still not like ideal. It's still like horrifying. And the planet is, as human beings doing the planet, what happened to dinosaurs, where everyone will starve, there's no way to survive, and ultimately humanity will be wiped out. Probably most likely get wiped out, and most planets will. And the planet will have to reheal. So it's only reheal everything. Hopefully, life will sprout back up after a certain amount of time, where the sun beats down on it, and evolution will start again. Hopefully, depends how much damage that's taken. And it's all about all the decisions, and this is what could happen. This is what's a very likely effect of what's going to happen. And the scenario is just basically everything going wrong. This is like how things can go wrong, but also how even though the plans they've created over the years can easily be understood by their enemy. So they've their own counter plans to that, and there's no real winner. So this is a very sobering book. It's very depressing. You want to read it. It's one of those things you don't want anyone to start nuclear war. It's got good reviews all over. There's been a few people who are saying called it like a nuclear disarmament book, but just because it essentially shows like this is what nuclear war actually is. This is which has always been the problem for the people, for the military and government dealing with nuclear weapons. Anyone who says this is the problem with nuclear war, I've always said, well, you're a disarmament freak. Don't you realise how this is keeping us safe? And it's like, this book's like, no, that stuff doesn't keep us safe. These weapons could easily destroy us. And it's like, so the people in charge do not want to have these conversations. Like, the president is always going to not know enough about the nuclear arsenal. It's one of those things they don't even tell the president that much until it's too late. It's just like, this is what the danger is. And they base up experts who are on both sides working, on the Russian side and the American side, working on it. Also the Chinese side as well, they're working on it too. And whoever's got nuclear weapons are working on it. And it just becomes a very difficult political situation where everyone knows it's a bad idea, but everyone knows the nuclear weapons keeps a lot of psychos in line. And they haven't got together and figured out a solution to get rid of these weapons as a world ender and still have nuclear weapons as a last resort for certain countries if they come out of line. Like if a rogue nuke comes from someplace, so they're going to, any nation is going to retaliate. But how do you retaliate without destroying the world? That's something that this book says we don't have a clue about. And with so many weapons going to each side, it's insane. And it's not needed, really. It's really not needed. You could have far less nuclear weapons and still have a good defence. So this is a very sobering book, and it gets into a lot of details about a lot of things. I'm trying not to go into details about everything they say. It gets into everything you probably want to know, but it's still a fairly short book. It's about 300 pages, I think. It's very minute to minute of what would happen, and it explains why this is happening, and it gives you an idea in a very clear way of why these things happen and what's going on. So it's come out in 2024. It's been a big success. The problem with writing about nuclear weapons is the books can be really thick and be very kind of like off-putting, because it's a depressing subject. And if you don't know enough, you can get lost in details. This book is just like, this is all about the actual reality of nuclear weapons without all of the... It's got the details, but doesn't go into details to the degree that would put off the casual reader who would feel stupid reading it. And it explains everything in a very clear way of why certain things don't work, and what they've been promoted to do and what they actually do. Which is a big thing about. There's been billions spent on various programs throughout the years that don't work because they just can't work just because of basic physics and basic reality of projectiles. So instead of actually talking to Russia and saying we have to find another solution, they just keep it going. So yeah, this is a wonderful book. I'd highly recommend it. You can read it pretty quickly as well. It's not like because the author understands it, because it's a depressing subject, you cannot have it go on for like 600 pages. You have to try and get in and out and get information as clearly and as brutally as possible. So, and there's lots of like at the end there's lots of like citations of research. So it's one of those books where it tells you where we've researched everything, but also the main block of the book is actually fairly simple to read. So I'd highly recommend this book. It gives you an overview of the nuclear war in the 21st century in a very good way. So hope you enjoyed this video. That's me for now. Bye.